Video link. Rushanara Ali.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. This budget completely fails to address the scale of the economic challenges facing our country in light of the global pandemic, which is still affecting people across our country, in light of the years of uncertainty posed by Brexit, and even with the government's limited trade agreement, it will hit economic output by 4%. And in light of a decade of conservative economic policy and austerity, which has weakened the foundations of our economy and our society. UK GDP went down by nearly 10% in 2020, with the deepest recession in any major economy. We've seen a very high level of unemployment, nearly 1.74% unemployed, 7 million unemployed, and young people facing the highest level of unemployment in a very long time, with nearly 1 million set to be unemployed. And of course, we've seen the huge loss of lives in our communities, with over 123,000 people who died, the highest death toll in Europe. And we've seen the inequalities that exist in our country play out by hitting some of the most disadvantaged in our communities the hardest. And in the economic dimension, women have been hit hard, young people, those from Black and minority ethnic communities, those from the poorest communities. And yet the government's response does little to shore up our public services, our National Health Service, where they've been at the forefront of protecting us, to provide support to local government, to provide support to tackle youth unemployment. The Kickstart programme has only got 2,000 people into employment. And yet we've got hundreds of thousands of people, young people, who have been made unemployed. So that's why I'm calling on the government to do more to help our young people. This budget does not do enough at all. On public services, we need desperately for the government to provide support to our schools who have suffered deeply in this crisis. And as for the tax rises, the government's already shown its true colours by increasing taxes such as council tax on families who've been affected deeply by this crisis. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the universal credit uplift is welcome, but it's only for 6 months. And in constituencies like mine with high child poverty, we need that to be a longer term response. If the Chancellor needed inspiration, he should look at what the Americans are doing, what the Biden administration is doing, investing nearly $2 trillion in a rescue plan to generate economic growth, providing much more direct support to small businesses, and ensuring that families that desperately need support get much more help. That's the scale of ambition we need in our country if we are to promote growth in order to pay the debt that we needed in order to deal with this crisis.